Everyone listens to stories, but we all listen from different places, right? So tell me in the comments, where are you listening from today? And hit subscribe. Some stories are more than just fiction.
Beneath the violet skies of Kethalar, lightning split the horizon with electric veins of green fire. The storm didn't stop the duel. Nothing ever did on this world. Thunder cracked as twin blades clashed, one blue like frozen plasma, the other a jagged obsidian shard that pulsed with ancient runes. From the outer platform of the arena high, drenched and out of place, Logan Carter watched with clenched fists. His flight suit hissed with steam, the cooling systems overworked. He'd just crash-landed 5 clicks out, barely making it here before the downpour turned solid. He wasn't supposed to be here. Kethalar was a closed system. He'd punched through the orbital no-fly zone on a distress beacon, looking for help. What he found was ritual combat. Blood soaked into the polished obsidian floor, not just a fight, a trial. 2 Valyrian warriors circled each other, their movements fast, brutal, almost beautiful. One of them was her, Ayla Varen. She moved like a coiled storm, her silver dreadlocks braided with cords of bone and lightning glass. Her armor was cracked. Her breath came ragged. She was losing. And Logan knew it, not by training or tactics, but by something deeper, something human, instinct. The opponent, heavier, taller, shielded in ceremonial plating, lunged. Ayla deflected, slipped, fell to one knee. Her sword spun from her hand and clanged across the floor, sliding, skidding, and stopping right at Logan's feet. Silence dropped across the arena. Even the storm held its breath. For 1 second, no one moved. And then the blade, the fallen, gleaming blade, glowed. It pulsed once, as if choosing. And Logan, without thinking, without understanding, stepped forward. He grabbed the sword. Ayla screamed something in her native tongue. The crowd gasped, but Logan wasn't listening. The enemy raised his weapon for the final blow. And Logan Carter, Terran pilot, lost and uninvited, blocked it. Steel rang against steel. Sparks burst like starfire. The enemy recoiled, stunned, and that's when the alarms went off. Not mechanical alarms, ceremonial ones. Massive gongs rang from the towers. The sky lit up with red flares. Dozens of warriors spilled into the arena, some drawing weapons, others falling to their knees. Logan held the sword in both hands, chest heaving, soaked to the bone. The rain sizzled on the blade like it was alive. Across the field, Ayla staggered to her feet, eyes locked on him, no longer confused, now furious. 2 armored figures approached, judges, elders maybe, cloaks soaked, faces unreadable. One of them extended a hand toward Logan, fingers curled in a clawed gesture, a declaration. The voice came in galactic standard, though the accent was thick and ancient. You have drawn the blade of Varen blood in defense of the heir. You have made the oath. You are now bound by blood, by blade, by bond. You are her mate. Logan blinked. What? Ayla stormed toward him, pushing through guards, her voice a snarl. You reckless off-worlder! Do you even know what you've done? I thought he was going to kill you. You interfered in a rite. You touched a clan blade. You raised it in combat. That is not saving a life. That is marriage. Logan felt the weight of the blade, heavy, warm, somehow familiar. I was just trying to help. No one asked you to, Ayla shouted, jabbing a finger into his chest. You humiliated me. You desecrated the rite. Her voice broke. You've shackled us both. The elder stepped between them again. The bond is sealed. The oath cannot be undone. The human shall be brought to the fortress Varen. The blade has chosen. Logan looked at Ayla. She wasn't afraid. She wasn't grateful. She looked at him like he had broken something sacred. And maybe he had. The storm thundered overhead as guards closed in. Not to arrest him, to escort him. Like royalty, like a groom. The crowd chanted in the old tongue. Not in celebration, in warning. He glanced down at the sword, humming faintly, cymbals dancing across its edge. It felt alive. It felt like it knew him. Logan Carter had come to Kethalar looking for aid. Instead, he'd made a vow written in blood and lightning. And in this world, vows were eternal. The fortress, Varen, loomed like a blackened monolith carved into the mountainside. Lightning spidered across the violet sky as Logan Carter was marched beneath spires of obsidian and bone, flanked by warriors who never spoke, never looked back. Inside, it was colder than outside, not by temperature, but by atmosphere. Cold in the way dead things are cold. He followed Ayla in silence, her posture straight, her shoulders stiff as carbon fiber plating. She hadn't spoken to him since the arena. She hadn't looked at him either. At the heart of the fortress lay the throne of binding, a half-moon chamber surrounded by floating glyph stones. 12 elders in ceremonial armor sat above them, each representing a surviving bloodline of the Kethalarians. Their faces were marked by time and war. Not a single one bore a smile. The eldest among them, his armor etched with constellations, stood. The blade has chosen. The right has been witnessed. By ancient law, the human is now bonded to Ayla Varen, last of her name. He is not of our blood, another elder interrupted, voice like grinding stone. He is not of Keth flesh. He cannot carry the Varen line. Logan opened his mouth to speak, then thought better. This wasn't his language. Not really. Not yet. Ayla stepped forward. Her voice was steel. The blade recognized him. It glowed in his hand. That cannot be faked. A silence followed, long and sharp. The elder with star-etched armor turned to Logan. "Raise the blade!" Logan hesitated, then did. The sword pulsed in his grip, symbols rippling across the metal. But this time, new symbols emerged. Not alien, human. Letters and shapes foreign to the chamber. Scripts of Earth, English, Sanskrit, Chinese. A gasp broke the stillness. One of the elders stood abruptly, his breathing harsh. "This is impossible." "Blasphemy," spat another. But the sword continued glowing. Calm, certain. It knew. The eldest elder spoke again. "The blade responds to him as it did to Ayla's father." Ayla flinched. Her father, a name never spoken in open council since the fall of House Varen. "You mean to tell us," another elder growled, "that a human carries the blood of Kethalarians, that our genetics, our heritage, has crossed with them?" "It's not blood," Ayla said quietly. All eyes turned to her. "It's something else," she continued. "The blade, it reacts to will, to intent, not lineage." One elder hissed, "Heretic." But the eldest nodded slowly. "Perhaps we've been wrong." Logan finally stepped forward. "I didn't come here to insult your traditions. I didn't even know what this place was. But I made a choice, not because of fate, but because I saw someone about to die. And I didn't care if I belonged or not. I just did what was right." The room pulsed with quiet energy. The sword shimmered. The glyph stones vibrated faintly in the air. "It seems the blade agrees," the elder said. "But what does this mean?" Another snapped. "Do we accept him into the line? Do we rewrite the law?" "It means," the eldest replied, "that the old laws no longer fit the world we live in." The council fell into murmurs, conflict crackling like static between their gazes. Ayla turned sharply and walked out. Logan followed, pushing past armored guards. He found her standing in the rain-drenched courtyard, staring at a shattered statue. Wind howled through the stone arches. "You shouldn't have followed me," she said. I'm not good at staying where I'm told. She exhaled. Not laughter, not anger, something tired. That blade was forged to defend our blood. It's chosen only 3 bearers in 1,000 years. My father, my mother, and now, me. You don't belong here, Logan Carter. Neither do you, he said softly. Ayla turned to him, eyes sharp. You think you understand? No, but I've been in a cockpit more than I've been on Earth. I've flown through 6 wars, 2 mutinies, and 1 black hole. I've never belonged anywhere, until that moment in the arena, when the blade lit up in my hand, and I knew I couldn't let you die. She stared at him. For a moment, her anger faltered. Lightning flashed again. The fortress behind them crackled with whispers. Inside, the sword lay against Logan's back, warm, humming, like it was waiting. For what? He didn't know, but he could feel it. This wasn't over. The bond had just begun, and something older than the blade, older than the fortress, was waking. At dawn, the fortress gates opened with a thunderous groan. Clouds hung low over the Kethalar peaks, thick with static. Below, 1,000 warriors gathered in silence as the summons echoed across the spires. Logan Carter, by ancient decree and by the claim of the blade, you stand before the proving grounds. 3 trials await, body, mind, spirit. Should you fail, the bond is void. The sword returned, the outsider erased. Logan stood alone in the circle of stone. No weapons, no armor. The sword had been taken from him at the gates, not out of distrust, but out of reverence. Ayla watched from the far ledge, her expression unreadable. She hadn't spoken to him since the council. Not out of anger, out of fear. She had seen what these trials did. Most didn't survive. The first test came swiftly. The gates split apart, and a giant stepped forward. Drazek Ironclaw, champion of the northern clans. 7 feet of muscle wrapped in war plate, his skin burned from solar forges, his eyes glowing with microfusion implants. He cracked his knuckles. You're smaller than I expected, human. Logan rolled his neck. I get that a lot. The gong rang once, and Drazek charged. The impact was like a meteor strike. Logan ducked left, narrowly avoiding a spiked fist that shattered the obsidian pillar behind him. The crowd roared. Drazek fought with brute strength, overwhelming force, no mercy. But Logan wasn't built to overpower. He was built to adapt. He slipped through the giant's swings, ducked under wide arcs, baited a right hook, then pivoted, launching himself off a nearby wall to strike Drazek's back with a controlled knee drop. Drazek stumbled. Not far. Not enough. You dance like a bird, the giant grunted. But birds still die. You're slow, Logan snapped. And angry. He reached down, grabbed a chunk of broken stone, and flung it upward. Not at Drazek, but at the scaffolding above. It collapsed. Directly onto the warrior's shoulders. The crowd went silent. Dust cleared. Drazek rose, groaning, then laughed. Clever. Unexpected. He raised his fist to Logan. You pass. Logan clasped it. The warriors watching began to nod. Respect, earned in motion. But this was only the beginning. Later, Logan sat cross-legged before the circle of voices, an ancient tribunal of psionic judges connected by neural lattice. One by one, they projected illusions into his mind. He stood in simulations of war. He was offered command over entire fleets, peace through conquest. He was shown Ayla dying, again and again. The only way to save her, betray the clans and flee, abandon them, save her life, lose their trust. He chose differently each time. Once, he gave up his life to protect the child of a rival clan. Another time, he surrendered to prevent civil war. No answer was perfect, but one judge finally spoke. You see no victory. You choose anyway. You feel the pain. You walk forward. Your logic is flawed. But your empathy? That is your weapon. Logan emerged from the trial chamber, trembling, not from fear, from memory. Ayla was waiting for him this time. They said you chose the death of your own people to save enemies. I chose peace where war was the only other option. Her voice softened. That's not how we're taught to lead. That's why your people are dying out. She didn't answer. But she didn't walk away either. This time he stood alone, in the vault of ancestors, deep beneath the fortress. The air buzzed with static, and the sword lay before him on an altar of crystal, dim, dormant. A spectral flame shimmered above it. A voice rose from the dark. "Who are you, Logan Carter?" He turned. From the mist stepped a figure in silver-black armor, eyes glowing with deep starlight. Ayla's father, Val Varen. "You hold the blade, but it does not make you worthy. Intent does." "I didn't come here to be anyone's savior," Logan said. "No one does. Yet here you are." Vael circled him. "The blade is memory. It remembers every hand it's killed with. It remembers every oath spoken beside it. It's just a weapon. No, it's a mirror." The ghost raised the blade. Logan raised his hands. "No fight left in you?" the spirit asked. "I'm tired of fighting," Logan whispered. "But I'll fight if I have to. For Ayla. For this world. For something better than survival." The blade lit up. Runes blazed along its edge, human and alien interwoven. Vale smiled. "Then you are worthy." Logan reached for the sword. This time, it didn't resist. It burned with power. Not violence. Purpose. He emerged from the vault as the sun broke through the clouds for the first time in days. The crowd stood silent as he stepped into the light. Ayla waited at the edge of the steps. Their eyes met. She nodded once. "You passed." He nodded back. "I'm not done." "What do you mean?" Behind her, the elder council stirred. Whispers grew louder. The sword had awakened. Not just ancient symbols, but new ones, symbols that weren't supposed to exist in this world. The sword was changing. And somewhere in the distant steppes, an old rival, Daemon Keth, saw the omens and began his own warpath. The sky over Kethalar was calm for the first time in weeks. In the high garden of the Varen fortress, a space of black stone pillars and whispering crystal trees, Logan stood beside Ayla, watching the twin moons rise. They hadn't spoken much since the trials. They didn't need to. The sword rested in its sheath on his back, humming softly. It hadn't gone dormant since the vault. Something had changed, not just in Logan, but in the blade itself, and in Ayla. She no longer avoided his gaze. Now, she searched it. They trained together in silence, sparred with soft blades, walked the halls of Varen not as strangers, but as something more dangerous, a pair. Whispers followed them. He is an outsider. She is a traitor, but others said different. The blade has never lied. The line must continue. And the question that no one dared say aloud, not even the council, was this. What if this bond is not a mistake? What if the blood of the stars was always meant to mix with the blood of Keth? One night, Ayla found Logan in the observatory, studying the constellations. "You're looking in the wrong direction," she said quietly. He turned. "Am I?" She stepped closer, the glow of the star map dancing across her face. "You still search the skies like a man trying to get home." "Maybe I am," he said. "Oh, or maybe I'm just afraid to accept that this is home now. And if it is," he looked at her, eyes steady, voice low, "then I want to stay, but not alone." Ayla's face shifted, not in surprise, but in surrender. She kissed him, not with passion, with decision. Days later, the news spread like lightning through the fortress. Ayla was pregnant. The healers confirmed it. The child was viable, strong, growing fast, a hybrid, human Kethalarian. A union never thought biologically possible. Some wept with awe, others roared in fury. And when word reached the fractured clans beyond the steppes, when it reached Daemon Keth, exiled prince of the bloodless war, he issued his own prophecy. This child is not a miracle, it is a weapon, and I will destroy it before it burns the world. The council erupted. Old laws were cited. Ancient edicts about bloodlines, purity, succession. Some demanded the child be taken from Ayla and studied. Others demanded its eradication. Logan stood before them, the blade drawn and glowing. "No one touches my family," he said. "You defy us," one elder hissed. "I defy extinction." Outside the fortress, banners were being raised. Keth clans who had once bowed to Varen were now aligning with Daemon. He moved fast, mobilizing outcast warriors, mercenary war priests, and something darker, the Pale Sons, shadow surgeons from the wastes. The first fortress fell within days, burned to bone and glass. Daemon made his intentions clear. "You protect abominations. I bring purification. When I reach your gates, I will carve the child from her womb myself." Ayla stood in the war chamber, hands resting over her stomach. She stared at the holographic map, red dots spreading like a virus. "I won't let him take our son," she whispered. "You won't have to," Logan said. He stood behind her, armor half-fastened, sword crackling at his back. She turned to him, eyes glistening. "We should run. The two of us. Disappear into the black." "We could," Logan agreed. "But then what are we teaching our child? That when hate rises, love runs." She looked down, lips tight. "Then we stay," she said. "We fight," he corrected. "Together." That night, in the high tower, Logan knelt before Ayla, not as a warrior, as a man. "I never wanted this," he said. "Not the sword, not the bond, not this war." She cupped his face in her hands. "And yet here you are, chosen by fate, forged by fire. Tell me this isn't just survival." She leaned down, her forehead touching his. "It's not." "Then say it," he whispered. "I love you," she said. "Stupid, reckless, off-worlder, I love you." He kissed her. And as the first war sirens began to scream in the distance, Ayla pulled away, eyes wide. "It's time," she said. "Now. The baby. It's coming." Outside, fire began to fall from the sky. Inside, a new heartbeat entered the world. The sky was burning. Daemon Keth's war fleet descended like a plague swarm, carriers the size of cities, veiled in shadow fire, casting dread over the peaks of Varen. The outer spires fell in minutes. Orbital cannons melted into slag, shields flickered, crumbled. Inside the fortress, Ayla screamed, sweat glistening on her skin, hands clenched around the edge of the birthing table. Medics moved fast, calm under pressure, but nothing in their experience had prepared them for this. A hybrid birth. During planetary siege, under a blood prophecy, Logan Carter stood guard at the blast door, sword drawn, face stone. Outside, explosions rattled the walls. Inside, his world was tearing in two. "Push!" the lead medic barked. Ayla cried out again, veins glowing faint blue from the strain. Her body was breaking every known law of Kethalarian physiology, and surviving it. "She's going to rupture," a nurse started. "No, she won't," Logan snapped. "She's a Varen." The sword pulsed on his back, like it agreed. And then, piercing through the din of war, a new sound echoed. Not an explosion, not a scream, a cry, high, clear, defiant, a child's. The medics froze. Logan turned, sword lowering, and in the arms of the stunned healer lay a newborn, tiny, wrinkled, perfect, skin neither fully human nor alien, but something in between. Eyes silver, hair dark, symbols already faintly glowing along his collarbone, not carved, not painted, born into his flesh, the ancient runes of the blade, and beside them, Terran code. Elias Carter Varen. The name came from Ayla's lips, hoarse but sure. "Your son," she whispered to Logan. He stepped forward like a man in a dream. The baby stared up at him, not with confusion, but recognition, as if he already knew. And then the door exploded. Damon Keth entered through smoke and flame, his armor covered in sigils of war, plasma axe in hand. Behind him, the pale suns, towering things sewn from bone and hatred, hissed as they slithered into the chamber. Logan stepped between them and Ayla, sword drawn, visor lowered. "You're too late," he said. Damon sneered. "I'm just in time." He raised his axe, and the blade of Varen howled, not in sound, in energy. Runes lit like wildfire. The air bent, time shuddered, and from the corner of the room, the child, Elias, opened his eyes fully. They blazed. The sword burst into white flame. Logan moved. What followed was not a duel. It was prophecy made flesh. The pale suns lunged. Logan struck once, twice, thrice, and they fell, their unholy forms unraveling into ash. Damon charged, rage blinding him, his axe roaring with kinetic force. Blow met blow. Sparks lit the med chamber like a dying sun. "You think you're part of us?" Damon snarled, staggering back. "You're a parasite, an accident." "No," Logan said. He slashed, severing Damon's left gauntlet. Blood sprayed. "I'm your future." He pivoted, low stance, angle sharp, and drove the sword into Damon's chest. The warlord staggered. The blade burned through him, and then exploded in light. Damon's scream was swallowed by the sound of history breaking. He collapsed, gone. The pale suns shrieked once, then vanished, their bond severed. The storm outside began to fade. Above the fortress, the clouds split open. From the skies, a signal pulsed. A wave of energy erupted from the blade's hilt, not destructive, restorative, awakening. Across the planet, ancient beacons blinked to life, old runes lit on forgotten monoliths. And for the first time in centuries, the sword of Varen changed shape. It split, forming two blades. One glowed silver, the other blue. Logan picked up the silver one. Ayla reached for the blue, and their son, Elias, giggled. Somewhere in the skies above Kethalar, the Council's warships halted, because every transmission they sent now received the same auto-response. The prophecy is fulfilled, the child is born, the war ends, or the world does. Weeks passed, and the world changed. The clans who had sworn to Damon laid down arms. The council reconvened, humbled. The Varen banner was raised again, not as a symbol of bloodline, but as a symbol of union. A new law was etched into the sacred spires. Let no blade be raised against a union of will. In the fortress garden, Logan sat with Elias in his arms, the baby chewing on his glove. Ayla stood beside him, silent, watching the sky. "He's strong," Logan said. "He's not just strong," she replied. "He's impossible, and yet he exists." "Like us," she smiled. "No," she said. "We were just two broken pieces. He's the beginning of something whole." He looked up at her. "We can raise him here." "We'll raise him everywhere," she said. "Across stars, across borders. He is of Earth and Kethalar. He will never have to choose." Above them, the two blades rested in their new cradle, side by side, humming, the last symbol etched into the steel, unity.